Teachers of Reddit. What is the most ridiculous thing you have heard parents say? Part 2. I was in an IEP meeting. When the counselor asked the student what his post-high school plans were, he proudly stated that he was interested in studying animal science. His mother angrily swung her head at him and said, "Oh, hell no! What about our plans for the NFL?" The student got embarrassed and said, "Well, I need a backup plan, Mom." And she said, "Not when you're as great of a player as you." The student was mediocre at best at football. Mom just wanted a kid with a giant paycheck. After Columbine, a group of parents got together and circulated a petition to allow their 7th graders to bring guns to school to protect themselves. Don't ask me how, but they actually got the PTA to vote on it. And they actually had to have a tiebreaker vote. Obviously, it didn't pass. There was an article about it in the local paper. I couldn't find a copy so far. If I do, I'll post. I wish that would have passed. I can only imagine the reaction of the police officer and the parents after all the kids get arrested. No, ma'am, your petition does not supersede federal law. Okay, one more. A parent said our snacks were a microaggression against her. We had the same snack literally every day. Graham crackers. Apparently, these are her words, not mine. You expect a black child to not feel ostracized with day after day of a white people food like graham crackers? I asked what alternative she suggested. Injera, Ethiopian flatbread. I told her the government chooses our snacks without our input, and if she had a problem, write her congressman. She trash-talked me as a racist the rest of the year. Thankfully, the other parents disagreed with her. Oh, so did my African-American foster daughter. Who knows what would have happened if you gave them goldfish or saltines? I'm black, and I happen to enjoy graham crackers. My son didn't kick the door. He closed it firmly with his foot. He's used to doing that. Yeah, of course, I'm sure he does it at home. It's worse when I had another teacher tell me that I shouldn't chastise my student for kicking the door because he was just knocking with his foot. No, she wasn't joking. His hands are free, and in what world is it acceptable behavior to knock with your foot in the first place? If that exists. I'm not a teacher, but my mother has strabismus. She's cross-eyed. One time at parent-teacher, my mom and my 6th grade teacher were arguing about me. Then my mom said, "My child is not a liar. I always say, look me in the eye and tell me the truth." And the teacher blurted out, "Which one?" which caused me to spit-take my water. I said this once to a teacher who was objectively a horrible human being. Got sent to the principal's office, where the principal and I had a jolly good laugh when I retold the story. Why does my student have an A? I know she bombed some stuff. After I put in grades, 30 minutes later, why does she have a low B? And why does she have a 0 out of 12 on that quiz? Sunday school teacher here. Some 2-year-olds I was working with were playing with some toys, and Kid A tackled Kid B's toy and yelled, "I killed you! You're dead!" Kid B's mom was in the room and lectured Kid A on how he shouldn't use the K word or the D word, and asked me to keep an eye out to make sure it wouldn't happen again. How can telling a kid not to kill, and that even in Sunday school, be considered as the most ridiculous thing? Would like to know what Kid A's behavior is like today or when he's a teenager? That sounds like she may be trying to teach him not to threaten people. I was told last year that the obvious reason I work in special education is because I can't get a job teaching normal children. My mom had to have extra college credits to teach her special needs kids. That doesn't even make sense. Kindergarten teacher here. Number 1, why isn't my child writing their name yet? Number 2, I don't want my child wearing sunscreen. We live in far north Queensland. Number 3, I took my child to the GP. He doesn't need a specialist. Number 4, my child is free range. I will not vaccinate. You raise your children like people raise chickens. I teach piano. I used to be a concert pianist. After I was teaching this 7-year-old girl for about 2 weeks, the father pulls me aside after the lesson and asks, "So, how long until she's as good as you? 6 months?" I wish I could have learned the piano in 6 months. Took me about 6 years of lessons to get where I am today, and I could still be better if I had the opportunity to play or practice more. Friend of mine who works in a public school shared this story with me. Teachers are meeting with parent of a 3rd grade student who is at risk of failing for the 3rd time. Teachers were concerned that the student was actually in need of additional and specific support. Read special education. The parents seemed to agree. The parents stated that when she was pregnant and expecting, it was suggested to her that she eat tortillas to help with her nausea. The mom suggested that she must have eaten a burnt tortilla while pregnant, and that is why her daughter had learning difficulties and was in need of special educational services. Mom called to ask me why I favor all the other children over her daughter. She came to this conclusion because her child didn't get to sit by her friend at art. They chose their own seats, and the girl didn't get the seat she wanted because she was late that morning. The remainder of the year, the mom brought the situation up any time I tried to talk to her about behavior issues. Student and parent tried to get me fired. They emailed the principal, Board of Education, Superintendent of Schools, and President Barack Obama. No reply from any of them. There's their mistake, right there. Should have gone straight to Superintendent Chalmers. I teach 3rd grade, and I had a student who was really struggling with his inability to focus and follow instructions. When I mentioned my concerns to his mom, she replied, "Oh yes, we took him to the doctor. He either has ADHD or hypertension. I'm not sure." I am under the impression that you can't diagnose ADD, which comes first, until a child is 12. ADHD also usually shows after puberty as well. When talking to parent about how child gets overly defensive when unsafe behavior is corrected, they really respond to energy. You should try communicating telepathically, specifically when saying no. Didn't really know what to do with that one. I am thinking so hard at you right now. I don't understand. Why do we need someone to run a cable over to the other building to get wireless internet access in it? To be fair, wireless internet is new. One of my friends, when he lived in a very, very rural part of the country, simply had a USB stick for wireless internet. Plugged it in and he had a 3G connection, one he paid for through the nose. It's easy to see someone unfamiliar with technology being confused by this. A mother to her daughter in 1st grade. "And if that girl makes fun of your shoes again, let me know so I can come up here and check her." This mother wanted to check another girl in 1st grade. If you are not aware, in the hood, checking someone means jumping them or some form of violence. Checking means to put someone in their place by threatening or making fun of them but not getting physically violent. You would check someone who is fronting, which is acting tough. Once had a parent there for a meeting about her emotionally disturbed child who happened to melt down over the same issue, standing in line for lunch daily. He had this hang-up about not having enough time to eat, so he would cut in line. His classmates would call him out on it, not rudely, just saying, "Hey, you cut," and he would deny, argue, and the situation would devolve. I tried severally positive and negative reinforcement to solve the problem, but nothing worked. So anyway, he is melting down worse than is usual, and she says, would like to go talk to him about following the rules and such. No, she goes out and tells him that she is going to transfer him to another school to avoid all the bullies. Does she realize that transferring him to another school is not going to do anything if he behaves the same way? I worked at an elementary school once. One morning, a father came to his son's class teacher to tell her that his son won't come to school today, and to ask what his son could do at home to keep up with the class. When the teacher asked why the son wasn't coming to school, the father replied, "I needed to punish him, and school is the only place he likes to go, so I forbid it for today." My mom did the same thing to me. Locked me in the house for 1 full month at one point. She also had the electricity and phone turned off for this period. Started off 11th grade with all A's, almost didn't pass because she kept me from school so much. Not a teacher, but I volunteer as a mentor. A parent told me she couldn't do anything about her 8th grade daughter's truancy issue because the girl wouldn't get up for the bus in the morning. The mother just didn't know what to do with her. Therefore, the girl continues to miss school, as it is clearly out of the mother's hands. I had a serious issue with refusing to get up for school. My mom tried everything. I feel really bad now, and I was obviously a little troublemaker. The issue was I was never able to fall asleep until I had passed out from exhaustion. I had a lot of anxiety, so my brain would just keep me up all night. I still did my work and turned it in. Teachers tolerated me. I still have issues going to sleep and take a sleep aid. They don't always work though, but I just suck it up like every other sleep-deprived adult out there. Oh look! They teach girls-only STEM classes. That's nice that they let girls pretend to be engineers. Or when I told the dad, "Oh, you and your son are doing stuff with Arduinos? He is probably going to be a better programmer than I am by the time he's my age." And the father responded with, "Well, duh, you're a woman. Women can't program. You can officially get out of my classroom. All you're teaching your kid to do with Arduinos is copy someone else's code. You're not teaching them to think programmatically. The world doesn't need more skitties." To be fair, the girl-to-guy ratio at the STEM college I went to was like 50-1. I'm not saying girls can't work in IT because I work with them and they know their stuff, but it's definitely a male-dominated field. I'm not a teacher, but regularly deal with parents and children. The rec department I work at has a junior lifeguard program. We have different levels for younger kids and kids with lower swim skills. I had a parent today threaten to remove his child from the program because she was in the low level, not the high level. His girl is a very nice kid, but she can't swim well. If we moved her to our upper group, she'd be swimming in the open ocean while barely being able to dog paddle. We've explained why it's too dangerous and have refused to make the change, but he still demands it. He's so embarrassed his kid is a weak swimmer, he's willing to risk her life to make others think she's good. Not a teacher, I was an IT technician. I had one parent demand we install plastic screen covers on classroom computers to protect their children from radiation. Oh yeah, sure, because we all know the best tool to protect from radiation is plastic. My dad is a school bus driver, and he kept having trouble with a girl that wouldn't stay seated. She kept moving around in her seat, and he actually found her upside once with her feet sticking up. He went to her house after the route and talked to her mother, who defended her by stating that her daughter has ADHD and that she has a hard time sitting still. My dad, as all of our family, is a bit sarcastic and replied, "Oh, well in that case, you should contact the school and make special arrangements for her to be transported upside down." The mother just replied, "Oh, okay," and went on with the conversation like it was just a normal request.